This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Welcome to the 20th anniversary season of Çoaster Radio. Here are your hosts, my close personal friends, Mike Collins and E.B.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Çoaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with my friend E.B., and we are ready to talk theme parks and thrill rides.
That's right, Mike. This is going to be a fun episode of Çoaster Radio because last week we were both on summer vacation, and so I feel like this is the week that we come back, and I feel like we're closing out summertime.
Yes.
This is the end of the summer. This is one of the last shows of August, and then we get into September. You know, we used to take the September off before we get into haunt season, but of course, haunt season has crept into even August now. So let's close down summer with this episode of Çoaster Radio, and let's get into haunt season, man.
Yeah, it is. It's coming up so soon. And I think right away, I sort of touched on it last week during the vacation episode in the first drop last week, but I really want to get into it with you because I think this is kind of a big deal that needs some discussion, even though it's a story that's 2 weeks old now. I think you and I need to get into it and really get to the bottom of our feelings about it, if you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly. So last week's episode of Çoaster Radio was just Mike's solo. If you didn't watch the video, you got to pause this show right now. Go back and watch last week's episode of Çoaster Radio on YouTube because season 20 of Çoaster Radio, we've put in all the podcasts on YouTube. You can watch us make the podcast. But you were on location at Trimper's Amusement Park in Ocean City, Maryland, riding on the podcast live the Haunted House, the classic Bill Tracy dark ride. And that's what I want to spend the second half of the show talking about, because I want to unpack your Trimpers trip and, of course, relate my own experiences and my own childhood fond toxic nostalgia of Ocean City, Maryland.
Absolutely.
So that's in the second half of the show. But in the last week, you also mentioned this terrible thing that Six Flags has done. They're charging for the haunts, Mike. That's our first drop.
Yeah, and when I was talking about it last week, I was at that beach bar, and I was like trying to get out, thoughts about it, but it was so hard because there was so much action happening.
You were
around
literally getting food served to you while you're recording the podcast. I love that.
Yeah, and my daughters are like throwing up their drinks in front of the camera and thinking it's hilarious and yelling. And there's loud, like you can't hear it because we use some EQing to get rid of the background noise, but there's loud music in the background. And I'm thinking about that, like, are we going to have to like cut this whole segment because the music is playing and we're going to get a copyright strike? But it all worked out. But really, it was the type of story that I wanted to discuss with you, just because it's one of those things that I don't think we like saw coming. You know, and for those of you who don't know, what has basically happened is, I guess Six Flags. I don't go to many Six Flags, traditional Six Flags parks haunts. You know, whatever, their Fright Fest. So I guess at a lot of their parks, when you would go there, you would pay an upcharge to go into the haunted houses. And this was not something that I have experienced at any of the parks I go to. King's Dominion, Busch Gardens, Hershey Park. Like, it just comes with admission traditionally.
Sure.
Until now. EP. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is exactly it, is that I don't think it's necessarily even that this is coming to the Cedar Fair parks where you go to the Cedar Fair park that is now Six Flags, of course, and you have to pay for the haunts. You can still go in, you still do all of the attractions and things like normal during the months of the Fright Fests or whatever. I think the big problem is people bought their season passes with the understanding that haunts were included, and now it's a bait and switch situation.
Yeah, because when you're making the financial decision whether or not to buy a season pass, like at least if you're like me, I kind of look at the calendar and I say, okay, how many days am I going to go total?
You do some math.
Yeah, and you start thinking, okay, well, it's $30 per parking, and I get haunts, so then I'll do that. That'll be a fun thing to do in late October. But you don't think, oh, I've also got to set aside some money for the unlimited haunt attraction pass that they're selling, or, the per night haunted attraction thing that they're selling. So that's not something any of us saw coming. I would think, EB, that they would wait till next year to do this and not anger their season pass holders like they've done. I mean, there are people I've seen online, as silly as it is, calling for class action lawsuits, contacting the Better Business Bureau about these practices. Unfortunately, though, man, it says on the ticket when you buy your season pass that anything is subject to change.
Sure. I mean, anytime you talk about anything that any horrible corporation is doing, it's like, well, that's in the fine print, you know. Well, yes, but nobody reads the fine print. That's not, I mean, didn't we have, Joe Biden had 4 years to fix that, and he said he would, but he didn't.
He didn't do it.
He didn't do it. He didn't do it. And it's just wrong that they can put the fine print in there and screw people, but that's just the way it is. And so, yes, Six Flags did this. Of course, everybody agrees. Obviously, if they were trying to care about their customers and trying to be kind and trying to, do the right thing. But corporations are terrible, even though, not to continue to bring politics into it, even though they are legally people, corporations are. They have no souls and they do not care about you. So they are charging you for the haunts this year, whether you like it or not, thanks to this wonderful fine print that they put in there in their corporate speak, whatever. It's Six Flags. There's what Chaplain Eric in the chat room is saying. It's Six Flags being Six Flags.
There you go.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah, not making friends by doing this.
Nope.
But also what makes me laugh is that the people who should be the angriest, and I'm talking about like theme park influencers, are kind of just going along with it.
Of course.
Like I see them online saying, hey, I just bought my unlimited attraction pass. Like, shouldn't you be one of the ones saying like, hey, I'm going to put my foot down and not buy it and maybe not go if you're upset about it?
And this is one of those things where I think we as people who pay attention to this stuff, it's like, doesn't make sense to us. Because didn't we just a couple of weeks ago talk about the ridiculousness of the MVP? The what is it, mega value pass or whatever it is, where you can get a season pass for next year for like $60.
Yeah.
Just
and like at the Mid-Atlantic parks, $90 for all 40 parks.
All 40 parks. And I mean, if you go to Six Flags St. Louis, my home park, it was like $59. It's ridiculous how cheap these season passes are. Mm-hmm. They could have made that money up right there. Don't charge for the haunts this year. Be nice to people. Don't be a jerk. And then just add like another $10. If you, instead of $90 at King's Dominion to get the season pass, make it $110. And people would still be like, that's an amazing, incredible deal, right? Or you go to Six Flags St. Louis and it's $65 instead of $55. That's still an incredible deal. You make up all that money and nobody's mad at you and thinks that you suck, Six Flags.
Right. I want to do two things. I want to talk about the different pricing on these haunted attraction passes. But first, let me ask you this, and just to play the devil's advocate and see the flip side of things. By charging for the houses, does that make the experience better for those who pay for it? Like, will the lines be shorter? Will the quality be better? I'm trying to look for any silver lining on this.
No, they're not going to be better. It's the exact same ones.
That's the problem. In the parks that I looked at, it's the same stuff. Like that you got for free with your ticket last year, you're now paying for. It's not like it's all, hey, 10 brand new houses to walk through. Mm-hmm. In most cases, it's the same old stuff, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it sucks. So Six Flags, you're not making anybody love you. You're not making anybody be like, oh, thank you so much for taking over Cedar Fair. And we're so happy to see Cedar Fair having a good influence. No, you're just adding to the narrative of Six Flags is dragging down Cedar Fair. That you're just adding to that. And you should have known going into this merger, that's what everyone was going to be looking for.
Yeah. I'm looking right now at the King's Dominion website to buy the haunted attraction pass. So like I've got a season pass to King's Dominion. So now let's say I want to go on Saturday, September 20th. That haunted attraction pass is $20. Let's go now into October. Let's say I want to go on October 18th. That's a Saturday. $25 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I want to go Halloween night, Friday, the 31st. Halloween night, $10 on Halloween night on a Friday. That's interesting. Okay. So, yeah, but if you want to go the next night, the Saturday, it's $20. So they're not being outrageous. I mean, still paying $25 is a lot. They've also got the...
it just seems that they could have put that $25 somewhere else and not made people be mad at them, right? Like it seems like they could have snuck in that same extra profit somewhere. And it's like, maybe they're just trying to get it into this quarter. And that's why is they're like, oh my gosh, we need to figure out a way to, pull in X number of dollars in the months of September and October. Okay, let's charge for the haunts. It's like, maybe that's why. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it feels like that's what they're doing. Like they had a bad quarter, so somebody's sitting in a room saying, okay, what can we do really quickly?
Guys, we sell the cups, but the bottom of the cup is $5.
See, there you go. You want to hold on to your soda? Then you got to pay the extra $5.
You can hold on to your soda. Just got to put your hand on the bottom of the cup. You want
I love it.
I can think of lots of ideas like that, Mike.
Yeah. Why not? Maybe they need to hire you, and you could just go right in. My question is, like, okay, they had a bad quarter, so did all of this pop up out of nowhere? And it's funny because at Kings Island, they were talking about this in the Coaster Radio Discord. Kings Island, they said, okay, we're going to have this unlimited haunted attraction pass. We're going to sell it for $49. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, sorry, everybody, it's sold out. But then a few days later, like, now we're going to have a $79 version of the pass. We're selling that. Oh, but that's sold out too. Oh, but now it's more. So it's like somebody somewhere is just like, okay, I think we can make a few more dollars here. It's like, it doesn't seem like anything was planned. It just seems like this is all just being done by the seat of their pants, man. So I don't know. It's just weird days. It makes me, here's the thing. It makes me not want to go. It makes me want to go to one of the competitors where at least I feel that, hey, I'm paying to get in, but at least this is all coming with my ticket the way it should be. And I just don't like the idea of being nickeled and dimed. So yes, I've got a King's Dominion season pass, but I don't think I'm going to their Halloween haunt.
If I know what I'm getting and I know what I'm spending my money on, I'm taking my kids out to Universal. I'm getting the RIP tour, man.
Sure,
talk about, it's not necessarily about the money. It's about, this is what we agreed to. This is the experience that I agreed to pay for. This is the experience you're going to give me. And it feels like if you go to a Six Flags park and pay the $10 to go through the haunts, you're just saying like, okay, I guess I'm a sucker. You got me.
Yeah,
and then you're just falling for it. You're like letting them do it. And I don't know, Mike. Yeah. I feel like us as Americans, we need to stop letting people do stuff to us and letting them get away with it.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going, man. I'm not going for the same haunts that I went to 5 years ago.
There you go.
But paying more for it. I won't do it. I won't do it. Anyway.
All right. Well, this is some more awful news that's haunt related, Mike. Some Kings Island bad news. It's our first quick hit.
Quick hits.
I don't like it anytime I hear about a dark ride closing. And we're, of course, talking about Kings Island. They're talking about closing Boo Blasters on Boo Hill.
I have not seen this. And so this is the first time I'm seeing this, and I'm kind of upset. Did they say anything about what's coming instead? Well, are they going to replace it with something?
There's a lot of talk about what could be happening in replacement. And a lot of people think that the old Phantom Theater could be coming back. Okay. And Phantom Theater was the dark ride that was there before Boo Blasters, and before that, it was a Scooby-Doo themed dark ride. So before the Sally dark ride that is currently there, they had this. I mean, it was the original ride system, the Omnimover system that was built there, but it was called Phantom Theater. You were going inside an old vaudeville theater, and the ghosts of the theater were in there, and so it was like kind of an original dark ride. Built by Kings Island back in the day. Before that, I didn't know this, EB, but they had the Smurfs Enchanted Voyage.
Yeah,
and it was actually like a water ride that was in there. And so they ripped out the water ride to build the Phantom Theater. But a lot of people saying maybe because Kings Dominion has been teasing a lot of stuff with some merchandise and some character meet and greets with the old Phantom Theater characters. That, I don't know, maybe they'd be going back old school and bringing that back.
I think as long as, like you said, if you take out a dark ride, replace it with a dark ride. So if Kings Island is going to do that, that's fine with me. That's great. Boo Blasters on Boo Hill, it's a great ride. It's not Scooby-Doo anymore. You can totally tell where Scooby-Doo was, right? Like you can see which character had Fred's head, and then they just swapped it out because of the IP in the Sally Dark Ride shooter. But it's still a great dark ride. It's still that classic Scooby-Doo feel, and it's still the effects mostly were working the last time I went to Kings Island, and it's one of the only air conditioned attractions in the entire park. So it's a great attraction to go into on a hot day. I hope the closure is short, and I hope it reopens as a dark ride soon.
Me too, because I really feel that parks need more dark rides. And like you said, especially for the air conditioning on like a 100-degree day, how great is it to just spend 10 minutes in an air-conditioned building, especially, and maybe more if the queue is inside too.
Well, and give us a dark ride that's also a boat ride. I love that.
Oh, that's fun too, yeah.
Sure.
But I like that this ride is an omnimover. I mean, we don't see that at regional parks very often, so that's really cool. Keeping with Six Flags news, this is another thing that's weird, and I hate that we're like doing a bunch of like negative Six Flags stuff at the top here.
Well, they can. You know what, Mike? Six Flags could do something about that by not doing negative things.
Yeah, I guess so.
To be fair.
We're not making this stuff up. This is all stuff that is happening. So
Bottomless cups coming soon.
There you go. So like at King's Dominion, they canceled Winterfest. There's no Winterfest this year. And that angered some people too, because they bought season passes thinking
they were going to go to Winterfest.
So King's Dominion season pass holders having a tough time. Carowinds is having Winterfest. But when you look at the schedule that is posted online right now, the operating hours for almost every day, I think every day except New Year's Eve, where they're open till 2 a.m., the operating hours are from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. for Winterfest.
Enjoy all of our Christmas lights at dusk.
Yeah, exactly. What are they thinking? This, like you said 10 minutes ago, it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense.
Why you might as well have it close at 6 and don't even put the lights up.
Don't put the lights up.
If they're only going to be up for the last, you're only going to be able to see them for like the last hour and a half of Winterfest. That's ridiculous.
If I were the dude hanging the lights, I'd be like, what is the point of all of this? Like, what? No one's going to be able to really see anything. They're going to see it as they're walking out of the park, at dusk, like you said, because it gets dark. They were saying like around like 5:30. So
it starts to get dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awful.
What is the point? I'd loved it. I'd loved somebody to ask them.
Well, and so much of Winterfest is supposed to be like they've got little bonfires and you can go and do s'mores and it's Christmas time and during the day. I don't like this at all. During the day, Winterfest Carowinds.
It's just weird.
Why? Yeah, just cancel it. Just don't do it. If you can't do it right, just don't do it.
I know, exactly. I mean, unless you're just going to keep the park open and do a visit with Santa Claus in a building somewhere.
Oh, do like a. I mean, and we have seen parks that do that in the past. Holiday World tried this, right? Where you're only opening a little bit of the park.
Yes, right.
And
right.
Just do that. Just admit we're only going to half-ass this, and it's fine.
Yeah, but Winterfest. Don't call it Winterfest. Yeah, just here, Santa. We're opening the park, and Santa happens to be here.
Christmas lights spectacular at Winterfest. Enjoy millions of lights for hundreds of minutes.
Gee whiz. So Ohio, of course, is home to some fantastic parks. I mean, Kings Island, Cedar Point, and others. But now there is a representative, state representative, Sean Patrick Brennan. And he has announced a new bill called the Real-Time Ride Status Notification Act. And it says here that it would require permanent parks like Kings Island and Cedar Point to update their websites and on-site signage when a ride is not running.
This is the party of small government?
Yes. Yeah. So I don't
know. He's a Democrat.
He's a Democrat. He's a Democrat. Yeah, that's
Dude,
he's a Democrat.
If you want to, okay, so I just looked. He is a Democrat from Parma. Senator Sean Patrick Brennan. Buddy, no. This is government meddling at its finest. No. Can we primary this guy, please?
Well, this to me seems like a dude who went to Cedar Point and Top Thrill 2 was closed and he was pissed about it.
I got a bottomless cup and with soda got all over my hands. I'm so upset about this.
Exactly. This dude just sounds like he was pissed.
I'm going to write a law.
Yeah.
Also, parking's expensive.
So that's the other thing. That Representative Brennan. So here's what he said. Families spend hundreds of dollars and travel across the state to visit these parks. They deserve accurate, real-time information so they can plan their day and avoid the frustration of walking across the park to find a ride shut down.
Okay. Sean, buddy, you got bigger fish to fry in the state of
I
Ohio.
know.
Please do your job. Seriously.
Jeez, man. Yeah.
Seriously.
Dude.
This is dumb. I'm sorry. This is really dumb. This totally feels like a grudge, right? Like
It does.
I
It
ordered
does.
6 chicken nuggets and they gave me 5. I'm passing a law.
It's exactly what
It's
it
called
sounds
the
like.
gimme my nugs bill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know the dude went to one of the parks and
He was so upset that
that's what
the
happened.
ride was closed that he wanted to ride.
yeah, he's not doing it for us.
This is a guest that we should have on the podcast. Be like, explain yourself.
Yeah, I know. I would love to talk to this dude. I'd love
We
to.
now have a new segment called Explain Yourself.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, and that's what we say. We bring him on and just go, explain yourself.
Explain
and then
yourself.
let him go. Yeah.
Come on, dude.
What's all
really
these
bad.
stories this week, man? It's like
Oh
getting us
no,
up
this
in
is
arms.
another one. Hollywood. This is the last one here. Hollywood Rip
I
Ride
know.
Rocket is closing, and the demolition is beginning.
Yeah, they did it already. Like
Done.
the last rides were
demolition
just
is
like a
done.
couple days ago, and already they're tearing down the track, man. They're wasting no time.
No, I think we see that often, right? Where they announce it in advance. We talk about how they don't announce in advance, don't give people a chance to ride. They tear the ride down in the off season. But when they do announce it in advance, it almost always is the last rides will be this day, and then.
Right.
7 a.m. the wrecking ball comes in
Yes.
and they just tear that thing
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah. I appreciate what Universal did. They let people come in and celebrate. I mean, the lines were long. I was hearing it was like over 2 hours to ride Rip Ride Rocket. People were dancing and celebrating in the station. They were playing the music loud. I don't know, man. You know, I know that people always complained about that ride, but I liked it. Every ride I had on it, I enjoyed. I never had a bad ride on it. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I was just happy to be at Universal. But, dude, I enjoyed that ride. I miss it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fine ride. I never got to ride it. It was closed when I went down to Universal Orlando. I wrote to Governor DeSantis asking him to pass a law about how I could get my money back, but it didn't work. He built Alligator Alcatraz instead.
There you go. Yes.
But this is not good to see it go. And
Yeah.
I know people are upset, but this is
I know.
Yeah, and I'm sure I would have enjoyed it because I was at Universal, right? Any roller coaster that's at a Universal park is probably going to be better than most roller coasters at your regional park.
Yeah.
No matter what, right? It's going to be
Yeah.
great. Hulk is not the best B&M, but it's at Universal. It makes it better, right? This is at Universal. It's going to be better. And I'm sad I never got to ride it and try to type in my secret codes to play my songs.
Oh, that was the other thing that was so
It was
great
so much
about that
fun,
ride.
right? That's so super cool and
Yeah.
unique. And that like automatically a mediocre ride becomes awesome because it's at Universal and has a little bit of that. Not Disney magic, Universal magic.
Yeah, and has the secret codes where you can play Rainbow Connection.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, and like, yeah. Why didn't you get to ride it? Was it closed when
It
you
was
were there,
closed
or-
when I was there. Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
That's too bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I did like the whole thing where you could choose your own track, and then that if you knew what was going on online, you could print out the list and do the right code and, you know, do a song that normally wouldn't be on a roller coaster. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Also, Rip Ride Rocket, home to one of my favorite theme park stories and experiences ever in my life. And if you don't mind, EB, I will take 2 minutes right
Yes,
now
please.
and tell you, because I've told the story on the
I
show
think I know this.
before.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have to tell it one more time because since the ride has gone away. Okay, so it's Halloween Horror Nights in like 2015, maybe 2016. And so I take my girlfriend down to Halloween Horror Nights and we do the RIP tour. Now, back then, this is before everybody's doing the RIP tour. So it was really exclusive. Like now when you go, like the last time I went, it was like there had to be like 400 people doing the RIP tour. But this time back in 2016, when they took us to that little VIP area to have the drink and snacks before you set out on your tour, there were like 25 people there. So it was very exclusive feeling. So I remember we got there, they sent us to this lounge to kind of hang out, and you got to meet your tour group. And I was so excited as a red-blooded American male because there's my girlfriend there, but then also like this group of like 5 or 6, 7 blonde-haired 20-somethings that are on the group, and they're ready to have a good time, and I'm excited. And then there's also these like 2 nerds on the on the tour too. They're just kind of sitting over there and not talking to anybody, keeping to themselves. But man, that was the greatest like VIP tour ever because we were all just having so much fun going from house to house to house, going from ride to ride, all the exclusive bars and stuff that we were going to. It was truly one of the best nights of my life at a theme park. But then at the end of the night, the tour guide's taking us around and saying, okay, hey, do you want to go on any of the rides? We'll get you right to the front. And they take us over to Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which at that point was kind of a newer ride. And my girlfriend was like, saying, oh man, I've got a migraine. I'm not feeling so well. And so one of the other girls in this troop of hot blondes that were there, she went over to my girlfriend and said, do you mind if I ride with your boyfriend and he holds my hand? I'm really scared of roller coasters. But if you don't mind, if he holds my hand, I'll go on it. And she gets this big smile on her face because she knows I'm looking like for permission. Like, yes, I'll do it. But she's like, yeah, go ahead. He knows roller coasters. He'll protect you. And so now I'm riding Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket with this super hot girl. And she's like, all right, I really need to hold your hand the whole time. I know that's really, weird, but I'm like, no, it's all right. Don't worry about it. I've got you. I've got it. And I can tell you when the scary parts are coming, so don't worry about it. So
nice.
Funny, man. It was a great evening. I remember. And so, yeah, held hands the whole time. And I felt a little weird. It was a little weird feeling, but it's all good. And then, yeah, when I got back, I got made fun of like super much, so much by my girlfriend. She's like, oh, I bet you like that. That was great, huh?
You were like, yes, what? Actually.
Damn it, I talked about it to this day. It was such a great night.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was the day that you felt like a man.
Yeah, I did. It was the day where I felt like my roller coaster enthusiasm paid off, finally.
Where that part of the, not feeling like a man suddenly did make you feel like a man.
Exactly.
Right? It was like, wow, I'm a dork, but wow, I'm the king of the dorks. Yeah. This is great. If only they could see me now.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, that group of girls thought like I was a really cool dude.
Yeah, you were.
I don't know why. I know that I'm not in real life. I admit that. But like for that night, for whatever reason. That
night. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't know where those two nerds went. They like took off. I don't know where they went. So it was like me and this group of like hot girls for like 4 or 5 hours. It's best night ever at a theme park. So
there you go.
Wonderful. And all thanks to Rip Ride Rocket. And I appreciate you. And I miss you. Yes.
There you go. He poured a little bit of something out there at the
pour it out
on the video
Rip Ride
podcast.
Rocket.
Right. Pour it out for Rip Ride Rocket. Out of your bottomless cup.
There you go. Yes. You're on to something with that bottomless cup. I think
it's a great idea. $5 for the bottom.
Yeah. That's like a Mark Shapiro initiative. Oh, and by the way, I love that like somewhere online there's like a growing consensus of people saying Mark Shapiro should be the next Disney CEO. And how hilarious would that be if that came true for this show? Like how much fun would we have?
I would love it if Mark Shapiro would come back.
Oh my gosh. But what if he was the Disney CEO?
Come back into the industry in a whole new way.
Oh my God. Well, what if he was at that level of power, man? That would be, how much fun? How much fun would that be for us?
Fantastic.
I found myself doing not the Mark Shapiro voice, but your version of it the other day at work. I was just saying it to myself. I was like, hello, everyone. I'm just trying to do the thing. You do it perfectly. Like the everything about it.
It's so a bottomless cup, Mike.
That's right. It seems like an idea.
It has no bottom.
Yeah. As we get closer to Halloween, can we please resurrect Mark Shapiro bringing up Halloween ideas of things to do for people? Like eat a cricket half-price ticket.
Sure, I'm sure we can have some. Well, look, maybe we can do a haunt where Shapiro takes over Disney.
Yes,
what is your Disney like? With Shapiro in charge.
I love it.
It would be scary.
Oh my gosh,
Great.
man.
Cool.
So
all right, let's do this. Let's do our break because I want to talk more about this. I was not there with you last week's episode of Coaster Radio. I was not there with you at Trimpers Rides and Amusements on the boardwalk at Ocean City, Maryland, but I did listen to and watch the podcast at Coaster Radio. But I want to talk to you about it.
Yeah,
so that's what
you've got. Yeah, because there's some interesting behind the scenes stories of how that podcast came to be. So we could talk about that.
Good. Okay.
Coming up right after this.
This is Coaster Radio. Welcome back to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, Mike Collins, and EB.
Welcome back, everybody, to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with EB, celebrating the end of summer because we still have one more week, and then it's Labor Day weekend, and then we're kind of like into the traditional end of the season, but getting into the haunt season. It's kind of weird now. Parks are like, it's not that traditional schedule that we grew up with here at Coaster Radio. It's really kind of changed around a little bit.
Oh yeah, we used to see parks closing right around when school would come back, right? So first week of September, you would see parks already in weekends only operation, and then closed by the end of September. And then some parks started doing haunts, and then the haunts started becoming more popular and expanding beyond the weekends, and then creeping into especially Disney. Like I'm sure Disney's already doing haunt time, right? They're doing Halloween already.
Yeah, that's already happening. So
yeah, it's just a big blend into, and I think Coaster Radio has evolved over that time too, right? The 20 years of Coaster Radio, we used to take September off because it really was kind of this, we've already gotten the ride announcements for Roller Coaster Day and looking ahead to the next year. Nothing's really happening in September as everybody's in, weekends only operation, or they're doing the corporate events at the parks where the companies do the buyouts. And then haunt season maybe starts up again in October, and we did 4 episodes of Haunt, but we abandoned that several years ago and said we need to do Coaster Radio straight through year round. We can't take time off in September anymore. Parks keep going.
I'm glad we do that. I'm glad. And you brought up something that I kind of forgot about. It normally around National Roller Coaster Day, which is like mid to late August. That's when we start getting announcements of new rides for the next year. Have we even gotten that? Is there anything, like, I know we know some that are coming, but hasn't been that big wave of announcements that we're kind of always used to.
No, I think everybody's kind of just looking ahead to think about if we're going to make it to the next 3 months.
Maybe so.
Nobody's really thinking about next summer just yet. That's why Six Flags is trying to get in those dollars right now. They're like, we don't even know if the park's going to be around.
Get it while you can.
Is the economy going to collapse next summer? We better charge people $10 for the haunts.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Get it while you can.
That's right. Right. Yep. But you made it into a haunt already. This is the thing, right? This is the transition. Is you go to the beach, that's the summertime. You go into a haunt, that is Halloween time. And you did the perfect crossover experience, Mike.
I did. And actually, before we get to that, though,
okay,
because I did get to go into like one of my favorite haunted houses ever. But that haunted house isn't open year-round. I mean, you got to catch it pretty much during the summer, and after Labor Day, they're going to shut it down. They're going to take that big giant bat that's on the front off and kind of get the thing ready for winter. But out in Las Vegas, there's the brand new attraction at Area 15 from Universal Horror Unleashed. It just opened, and right before we started tonight's show, we actually got a live trip report from that area. And I have not even, it's so new, EB, I haven't even had a chance to listen to it yet. So you're going to hear it along with me for the first time, and all the listeners hearing it for the first time as well. So let's take a listen. This is Kenneth, who was one of the very first people to experience Universal Horror Unleashed.
Hey, Mike and EB, loyal listener and fan, Ken K from Brooklyn here, reporting from Universal Horror Unleashed in Las Vegas. It opened a couple of days ago. I'm here entering Scarecrow the Reaping, the 4th and final house that I'm doing tonight. Had to wait about 10 to 12 minutes to get in here because when there's no floor show going on in the middle of this giant indoor venue, the lines are a little bit longer, but nothing like what you get at HHN. There's no need for express passes here. I literally walked onto Universal Monsters, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then Blumhouse's The Exorcist Unbeliever. Very similar quality and experience to what you get at HHN each year in Orlando and Hollywood. There's also a big bar in the center, character meet and greets of a sort, and a couple of eating venues here. I'm walking right now into the first structure of this scare. And as you'd expect, there's lots of pop-up scare actor screaming moments. There's one right there. I've been screaming a lot tonight, but I don't know if you're going to get into I just got startled by a scarecrow popping out of a wall. Anyway, guys, keep up the good work. Congratulate me. I just rode my 775th coaster. in the world. It was Ride to Happiness in Belgium. I'm just back from that trip. It is in my top 3 along with Zadra at Indonesia and the Lhasa Coaster. Anyway, again, keep up the good work, and thanks for listening to my trip report.
Whoa, fantastic trip report there from inside the haunt, man. That's
Ken
great.
K is just walking through a haunted cornfield with live scarecrows jumping out at him, telling us about his time at Energylandia.
Yes, I know. I love it.
Oh, well, a scarecrow just came out to attack me. I was slightly startled. Let me tell you about my favorite roller coasters.
775, man.
Yeah, this
That's wild.
nothing rattles Ken. Nothing.
I know. He's like, I've seen it all. I've done it all, man.
No, that's great though. This, I mean, talking about haunts and year-round experiences and things like that. This is Universal Horror Unleashed. We've been looking for something like this, so great to hear from Ken that it is of the same quality that you'd expect at Halloween Horror Nights, but sounds like no lines. Not great for Vegas. We've been hearing those reports, but maybe now's the time to get over there and experience it. So
I know.
Good trip
And
report,
if it is that Halloween Horror Nights quality, and then you get like a restaurant and a bar and all that stuff thrown in there too, and a shop. Like, I'm looking forward to checking this out next time I'm in Vegas. I mean, it should be around April. By that time, it should be really humming. So, yeah, man, I like it. I'm really hoping that it's successful and that maybe it comes to other cities.
yes, we talked about that for sure.
Yeah, fulfills the promise that Disney Quest originally had.
But haunt version.
Yeah, but a haunt version of it. Really cool. Really cool. Do you think it would work in other cities? I know we talked about it briefly, but for real, would it work in Indianapolis? Would it work in DC? I don't know.
Do people have an appetite for the haunt year round? I don't know. I don't know if they do.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. Does it work outside of Vegas? That's a really good question.
Well, does it work in Vegas? Because Ken said there wasn't. He had to walk off.
Yeah, I know. He walked onto a lot.
We don't know yet.
So yeah, if you guys are out there, send us in your reports. Send them in from anywhere. We love hearing from you guys when you're out, especially as we start getting into haunt season here. You heard how Ken did it right there. Just do it just like that. Send us your reports to feedback@coasterradio.com or use the Coaster Radio iPhone app, which is in the store right there. It's free, and there's a button that you press. You record your trip report. It's even got a timer on there, EB, to keep you to 90 seconds, and then it sends it direct to our studio here.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So we were talking, if you have been following us here on this 20th season, we've been trying to do more stuff on YouTube. And last week when EB and I were both on vacation, we thought about, like, what could we do? Do we take the week off, or do we try to do some type of video podcast or something or another? And so I talked to EB and I said, well, what if I tried to get a behind-the-scenes tour of Trimper's Haunted House, which is an original 1965 Bill Tracy dark ride. And so that was kind of the idea that I went to Ocean City, and EB, you were in a different area of the country, right? I was up
in Leland, Michigan, so up on the pinky finger of Michigan on the lake. So
nice.
That was where I was, but zero roller coasters up in that region,
yeah.
Mike. Zero roller coasters.
Yeah, so that's why I thought, like, I would do something at the beach. And the idea was, like, I contacted Trimpers and said, hey, I'd love to come and get a behind the scenes tour and maybe do a lights on tour and make that the video podcast. So that was the idea. The problem was Trimpers didn't get back to me until the day I was leaving.
Not the kind of place. I mean, when you're talking about a seaside boardwalk amusement center, it's not exactly the kind of place that has a marketing team, Mike.
Yeah.
No.
So and what was great is Arthur Levine heard us talking about it on the previous show, saying, like, hey, I'm trying to get in touch with these guys. Nobody's reaching back out. So he got us some direct contacts at Trimpers. So I wrote to the president of Trimpers. I wrote to the ride operations manager, and then wrote to the marketing people. And the ride operations manager actually got back to me and said, hey, but this was like towards the end of the trip. And she said, all right, I'm going to try to set something up for you. And then unfortunately, on the last day, they were like, hey, come on, we'll do a lights on tour and we'll, do the interview before the haunted house opens for the day. But I was already on my way out of town. And the episode had already been dropped. So it was, just too late.
That was the end of last week. Well, you texted me that news and I said, well, that's just a good reason for you to go back to the beach.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
One more trip back to the beach. Yeah. Before the season's over.
Yeah, so that's a possibility, or maybe we do it in 2026 and try it that way too. But I love I mean there are many things in this life that I love. I love theme parks. I love tiki bars. I love magic tricks and travel and stuff. But I love a good beach boardwalk. That is something that to me is kind of magical almost. It's something that I've been doing ever since I was a kid. Now it's fun to take my own family there. There's so much fun stuff on the boardwalk, but especially the amusement stuff, especially the rides. At night, there's something that's so great with all those lights on all the rides and stuff. And I really like going to Ocean City, especially when the weather is kind of cool and breezy. And that's what it was like being there this past week. It was really great.
No, and I have the same experience. Of course, I grew up in Northern Virginia as well, and every year we would go to Ocean City when I was a kid, and we would stay walking distance. We would walk to the beach. We would walk down to the boardwalk. We would ride the tidal wave. We would go through the haunted house. We would play the games. We would go and get crabs at the P&G.
Yes.
We get all you can eat crabs. Is that place still there? Go to the Jolly Roger amusement park. So, same exact memories of a lot of people growing up on the East Coast going to these seaside boardwalk parks. And I know, anybody that's got a coastline knows exactly the kind of parks. I mean, even down the Galveston Pier, out of Santa Monica Pier, anything like that. Indiana Beach. I relocated to the Midwest and thought I would never find a boardwalk park ever again in the summertime. But Indiana Beach very much has that vibe of a boardwalk park. That is just so much fun, all the way down to the great cheesy dark rides. And Mike, that's our favorite ride. I think you and I both at Trimpers, maybe the toboggan when it was still there. The Chance Toboggan.
That was great. The Chance Toboggan that was there was so great.
But the haunted house, the Bill Tracy dark ride is just one of the classics. Even before I even knew what Bill Tracy dark rides were, I was already a fan of these classic Bill Tracy dark rides and the classic gags. So for the folks who didn't get to watch last week's episode, just break down real quick what the haunted house looks like, feels like, and the vibe of the whole thing. And then I do want to go through the actual haunt itself and talk about the things that you saw, because it was very dark in your video.
Yes, it was.
And I want to talk, and I want to get more details on the things that I have, because I have not been back to Trippers in a long time. So I want to hear about the updates. Especially those two guys that scared you. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that was shocking. But the great thing about Trimpers Haunted House is that it has not changed much over the years. If you listen to the episode last week,
the vibe is the same.
The vibe is so similar. And it was built in 1965. They did an update in 1988 and then another one in 2012. So that facade that's out there that uses so many classic Bill Tracy prop pieces is pretty much exactly as it's been since 1988. And that's when they built the second level of the haunted house. So when you're there, I mean, if you wrote it in 1988 or you wrote it this year, it's the same feeling.
Yep.
Like the same cars. And they do a really good job of keeping it updated, keeping everything working. That's one thing I appreciate is that everything was working inside. Even some of these, what they call stunts. Stunts are the, action animatronics or the things that jump out and scare you inside the house. All of those ones, even the ones, especially the ones from 1965, all working exactly as they should, and that's what I appreciated. I love the lighting in there, with the black light lighting that they do in there to really bring some of those pieces to life. But what's neat too, EB, is that aside from the stunts from the 1960s, they have brand new stuff that I'm sure they go to some of these haunt conventions and bring in and put all around the house. Really, really cool. And it's so fun too, how, the ride will just kind of be moving along, but then start going down a hill. You won't have realized that they were bringing you up only to use gravity to make the ride go kind of quickly. And it was in some of those spots where you're moving quickly, where they sneak an actor behind you. The first one was dressed as Freddy Krueger, and you sort of sense something behind you, and you turn around, and it's a guy following you up as you go up the stairs to the second floor.
Yes.
It's really awesome, and it's so freaky to have that happen because you're in a ride vehicle. You can't run away like in a Universal Halloween Horror Nights thing. You can move faster and get out of the way, but in this case, you're locked into this ride. And it was so great. It was just really cool, like a nice addition that I had not experienced before in that haunted house. Really
No,
cool.
I think that's just so much fun. But yeah, you're in these little. Are they like 2-seaters? Or is there 2 rows in these little coffin cars? I can't remember, but they're really
just one.
small. Yes,
One
really
row.
small little cars on a little track, and you bang through the doors. I love that we got to hear that audio and see that as you bang into the darkness. And then you go past all of these day glow effects. There's the classic ones where you see the woman getting sawed in half, or the guy getting electrocuted, right? The bat that flies at you, the truck or the train where you hear the honk and the light flashes at you, the tunnels that spin. And just describing those, I'm sure most of the listeners are like, oh yeah, I've been on that before. I've seen that gag before. Those are Bill Tracy, those are Bill Tracy effects. And like you, Mike, I grew up riding this ride. And so it's fun to experience, but it's not scary.
No.
But I've got to say, if I was on this ride, just like we heard you, if I was on this ride, like I've been riding this for 47 years and it doesn't scare me at all. This is just so much fun and nostalgic. And Freddy Krueger jumped out behind me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I remember walking by the boardwalk a couple years ago, and they had a Michael Myers guy on the second level, and he was just walking back and forth on the second level, looking down at people. And I said, "Oh, that's kind of cool," but I had no idea that they were putting them inside as well.
Putting a guy in there.
Yeah, because on the second level, like there was a Michael Myers guy standing perfectly still, and then he came forward towards the car as it was going by, and it was just a great scare, man. So I like that, and it just shows that the people who are operating this haunted house are like always trying to add stuff to it. You know, they're not just like, here, just go through, it's fine, we don't care. The lighting, the effects, those extra actors, also good. And I appreciated the lighting and also the lack of lighting in some places.
Yeah.
Where like even in the video, you see it was just pitch black, and that really throws you off because the ride vehicle's kind of moving and jerking around. And
it's noisy in there, right? I mean, this ride is like old and made out of wood and creaking and banging, and there's all the of the pneumatics or whatever, whenever anything's happening, and the buzzers. And I love that it is that familiar feeling, but the fact that they're still putting in new scares is pretty great with the old stuff. Like I was so happy to see that waterfall gag at the end was still operating. Yeah.
That to me is one of the best parts. And I don't know if I described it very well for the audio audience. You can see it on video, but at the end, you're just going down this long hallway and a waterfall appears about 15 feet away, and it's just pouring water down exactly where the car is headed. And a second before you get to the water, it cuts off and you go through and you don't get wet. You get a few drips on you.
I think that's the funniest thing, is that you go through a haunt where like you just saw somebody get sawed in half or disemboweled and like a witch getting dunked into toxic waste and turning into a skeleton, like all these horrible, gruesome skeleton things. And the thing that scares people the most is, I don't want to get wet. I don't want to get.
I know.
Will freak out.
Yeah, you've been in water all day and sand, and
right?
You're,
And it's like,
you're worried about that water.
This trickle of water might get on you as you pass under it. But that's such a good classic gag. And again, that's a gag that, as somebody who rode that thing in 1988, I would miss it if it was gone. And so it's so great that it's still there.
Yeah, and you're so right, man. The smells in there are just iconic, but also it's, like you said, so loud. It's so loud, and it's just like sensory overload, because the thing that I'd forgotten about it is that it's one thing after another just hitting you. There's never a point where you're just riding through and like, oh, there's nothing here, I'm
waiting
bored.
to get to the next gag. No, it's gag after gag, stunt.
It's just one after another. Really, really cool. So I'd like to take them up on the offer to eventually do a lights on tour.
Good.
And I know that we kind of, shot our load a bit in terms of like doing the ride through and stuff. But I think because it's a Bill Tracy ride, and it really is like, there are so many original Tracy pieces of art in there and stunts, more than any other attraction anywhere in the world. I think it is worth that and documenting that. Also around the corner, there's Pirates Cove, which is a walkthrough attraction, another Bill Tracy walkthrough attraction, which is also awesome.
Yes. No, and Trimpers is a great example of a classic seaside park that continues to update, continues to operate really well. And you will encounter stuff that is original. to the park as you go through, and then you see the new stuff too. But there's plenty of nostalgia for where everybody that goes, right? You and me were dads, and we can point to our kids and be like, I rode that when I was a kid. But there's grandmas and grandpas that are like, I rode that when I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Going all the way back for sure. What about Tidal Wave? That was another one that you showed everybody, the Coaster Radio audience, in the video on last week's episode of Coaster Radio. This is just an old Vekoma boomerang from '86.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
And I remember this one where this was the urban legend of like the train flew off the end. Exactly. Right? I think every kid in the 80s and 90s said that their boomerang had people fly off the end of it. But this was one for me that we told that story.
Oh, I told that story too, right? And then for some, I even like there were kids in my school like I saw it fly off,
right? And then it was like, no, it was the one at King's Dominion, and they landed in Lake Charles, and it was like, exactly, you're right, that was what it was.
Yeah.
Like two lies equal the truth.
Yeah, when I was at the park, every time I walked by the tidal wave, there were a ton of people riding it, and I can't make myself ride.
It's a bad ride.
It bangs you around, man.
It's not even. It's a bad Vekoma boomerang.
I mean, most of those Vekoma boomerangs are just bad.
This one is bad.
The one at Hershey Park, I don't like riding. I don't like riding any of them, to tell you the truth. Like, it's just not some. It's once you do it once and you get the credit, you're done. But I like how it looks. It's kind of cool, and it's kind of fun to see people get pulled back.
It's nice to see a big ride like that on a boardwalk, right? That's cool.
Yeah, this is my problem, though, with Ocean City, Maryland, is there is not a great roller coaster anywhere in that city. Like, there's not... I mean, not even like a Wild Mouse that's good.
No.
It's
Jolly Roger still has a boomerang, doesn't it? Or some shuttle coaster.
They've got some type of roller coaster there, but it's like kind of a cyclone coaster or something.
Okay.
And, Jolly Roger on the pier has like a looping star.
Yeah. Okay.
All worth like getting the credit, but just there's no modern.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Like there's not a RMC or even just like some type of. Like what Knoebels has. What is that? They're
sure a Gerstlauer or something with a small footprint that could fit in there somewhere and be really cool.
Yeah, yeah. There's just nothing like that, and you almost wish that Trimpers has no need to, but could they get rid of the tidal wave and put something else in that footprint? That would be interesting. I know, but still, like. If there could be one great roller coaster in Ocean City, it would be fantastic. But they just don't need to do it. I don't think there's an audience there for it. Everybody's happy riding what's there. But man, it would be cool. It'd be cool to like some of those New Jersey parks.
Yes,
on the boardwalk on there. Yeah, on the ocean have really great, roller coasters and other.
Yeah, or Myrtle Beach. So. Yeah, or we said the Santa Monica Pier, or Galveston. Yeah, there's definitely other seaside parks that have premier roller coasters.
Yeah, and there are good flat rides at all the different parks at Ocean City, but not a good roller coaster. So I'd like to see that. That would be nice.
Would you say that the best ride in Ocean City is the haunted house?
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah,
no hesitation.
In terms of, okay. I mean, and there are other people who will disagree. There's some interesting flat rides. There's a spinning roller coaster, the kind that you always see on the IAPA show floor. There's one of those.
Okay,
that's probably the newest roller coaster,
like
in Ocean City.
One of the Visa SBX or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. One of those. But in terms of like just the overall best ride, it's got to be the haunted house. But I think other people might say like, oh, you go across to Jolly Roger on the pier and there's a couple flat rides. There's like a drop ride there. There's the giant Ferris wheel is pretty cool. Like you can't beat the view from up there. That's great. But yeah, in terms of just like if you're just into parks, into amusement rides, you can't beat the haunted house for sure. Absolutely, no way.
This is doing what I thought it was going to do here, Mike, where it's making me both look forward to haunt season, but also making me want to get one more summer trip in and make the trip out to the beach. The trip out to the I have been putting an Ocean City trip on my list for a long time. When I planned my New England trip many years ago, I tried to make it be a boardwalk park trip where I would go down through New Jersey and hit up Rehoboth and all those. It didn't happen. I still have that on my list as a trip that I want to do. Maybe next year, if you're talking about trying to get back to Trimpers to do this Lights On tour, could we do an Ocean City meetup? I know we love to tease meetups and then not do them, but let's tease that one. Let's tease that one. That could
be interesting. That could be interesting, especially maybe there's a way to do a Lights On haunted house tour, and then right across the way there's Trimpers and Jolly Roger on the pier, a lot of rides and stuff. That could be fun.
And we all go to P&G and get all you can eat crabs.
There you go. That's good.
How fun would that be?
Oh, that would be fun. And there's enough people.
Yeah.
People in the Mid-Atlantic probably would do it.
I would love that. I would love to go out for all you can eat crabs in Ocean City with the Coaster Radio listeners.
Yes,
and all of
that
us
would be fun.
with the butcher paper and the mallets.
Yes.
We would best make a mess. It would be so much fun.
So good. So good.
So much fun.
You get the bib, the little plastic bib you wear, so you just don't get it on you. Oh, yeah.
Right. Don't fill up on corn and fried chicken, guys.
No, because they
Eat the
bring that out
crab.
first. They bring that out first with the hush puppies and stuff, trying to get you to fill up.
Right.
Yeah, don't
It's
do
all
it.
you can
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah.
The cups are bottomless.
I'll tell you what. And you know what? They're talking about it in the chat room right now as we're recording live. There's no tiki bar in Ocean City. Not a proper one. There's
I think
beach bars.
we need to open up a tiki bar with a big roller coaster. Problem
there
solved.
you go. Kill two birds with one stone right there. Oh, EB, I think about it every summer that I'm there. I'm like, this is the place to come and open a proper tiki bar. I think it would, do a lion's share of business, man.
Mike and EB's proper tiki bar.
Yes, there you go. Come to our proper tiki bar.
It's proper.
Yeah. So
Cool. All right. Good
Yes.
stuff, everybody. Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so a good way to close out the summer. And but like you said, EB, man, we don't do what we used to do. We don't take the month of September off. We keep it going. And there's a ton of good stuff coming up here as we get into the last part of the season. Some great interviews that we're working on behind the scenes. So that's pretty cool, and a lot of fun stuff. Some games coming up. We're going to do another episode with the Ultimate coming up soon.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Great.
a lot happening here as we get into the end of summer and into fall season, man. Looking
Very
good.
cool. Let's say thanks to everybody who supports the show at patreon.com/Coaster Radio. You can support the show by going to coasterradio.com. There's links there, all sorts of ways to support the show, referral links to Amazon and hotels.com, the t-shirt shop where you can buy some swag with the Coaster Radio logo on it. But there's also a link to patreon.com/Coaster Radio where you can support the show with a pledge of support, financial support. Throw us $5 if you think the show is worth it. We have perks, bonus content. We'll send you stuff in the mail. You can get access to the Discord, and we'll say thank you to those who support the show at the $20 level right now.
Yes, Alex Payne, Brian Wackler, Chris Rankin, Cincinnati Nick, the sweatshirt guy, our friends at Club Z, the two bearded coaster Chris's, CM Venom, Colton Toms, Dino, Grace, John Brody, John Brown, and Josh Combs.
Also, Justin Padilla, Karen and Lee Howren, Kevin Wilson, Kyle Kiefer, our friends at Made to Thrill, Matt Walker, Michael Foucault, Nick from Paris, Paolo de los Reyes, Rich Barber, Rick Burnley, Shane Mankiewicz, Tom from Louisville, and Zachary Carpenter.
Yes, we also want to thank our friends at Lindner Design Company. They specialize in branding, illustration, and small batch custom apparel. They, of course, created the brand new Coaster Radio logo for our 20th anniversary season. You can find them at Instagram at Lindner_design.
Exactly. All right, everybody.
Thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you next week.
You've been listening to Coaster Radio, the original theme park podcast. To learn more about the show and hear hundreds of episodes from the archives, visit our website at coasterradio.com. This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Thanks for listening. Peace out, suckers. Coaster Radio is a production of Lift Hill Media, LLC. Audio and video from this program may not be broadcast, edited, or reproduced without our express written permission. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This was all done in one breath.